Well, here we are, Thoughts from the Office, Redneck's Pride Outdoors. Ooh, yeah, I'll tell you what, is a hot one today. Yesterday was 99. Felt like 109, they said. Felt hot is what it felt. Today is supposed to be hotter. Tomorrow's supposed to be hotter too. So, I'm sitting here in the truck with my air conditioner on. I usually don't like the AC on when I'm working because it makes it rough. Excuse me, getting out of the truck, getting up on the roof, or doing whatever I'm doing wildlife control wise. Then you get back in the air conditioner, AC, and then you drive to the next job, you get out, and it's just like hits you. But, well, I tell you what, yesterday was bad. Today's going to be badder. And being Sunday morning, I've only got a couple jobs I'm going to take care of, that I got to take care of. And see what happens there. But anyway, you know, being a bait and lure manufacturer, once you learn the principles of how to take a lure or a scent or a bait and formulate it to not only be an attraction, but to stabilize and hold for years to come. Once you learn that, scent is scent, lure is lure, bait is bait. The only thing you've got to understand is habits of behavior of the intended target. And ironically, understanding lure and scent production, I had to learn how to make perfumes and colognes, even though I don't. So in other words, I had to study the perfume and cologne field to understand somewhat, if you will, and I'm an old dummy, so, but to understand chemistry in a way, to understand how things go together a little bit, understand it, so that you don't have complete failure after failure after failure of adding things, putting things together, what have you. And one of the biggest difficulties I had early on, it was easier, if you will, to take synthetics. And most products nowadays are synthetic, okay? Most of your essential oils are going to be synthetics. Most of your, for scent and lure, we're talking about now. No, we're not talking about bait, but we're talking about scent and lure. Most of the products you get, mother ingredients, if you will, are synthetic. And they're good. They are. They really are. You know, I can get watermelon, and it smells just like watermelon. Now it's a synthetic oil, so the taste's not there, but the smell is there. Or I can get shellfish, and the smell is there. Now, the problem with synthetics is they're overpowering. They're just, they're like boom type thing, which is good because you only need X amount of stuff inside, X amount of that essential oil in your formulation. And then you've got to, depending on if you're making a taste lure or scent, or if you're making a smell lure or scent, You've got to figure out how you're going to put in your taste factors if you're making a taste lore. The hardest part that I had was to take the real thing, crab, squid, worms, minnow, bloodworms. And I had to learn how to take those bases, those products, those mother ingredients, and I had to learn how to preserve, stabilize, and keep them. That was a challenge. And the reason I'm mentioning those three, and not limited to, if you will, is they are, along with others, my bases or my mother ingredients, if you will, in my fishing sense. Fishing sense. There's a topic right there that I really don't go into detail on. You always hear me talk about trapping. You always hear me talk about deer sense. But the two scent lines that I have, fishing and predator caller scents, you very rarely hear me talk about them. I do talk about them a lot, but I don't do a lot of YouTube on it, or I don't do a lot of videos on it. And the reason I don't do a lot of talking on fishing scents is I'm gonna be honest with you. As hard-headed as a trapper can be in his way of thinking, you can sit down and have a lively conversation, and you can get their wheels turning to where they're thinking about what you're saying. As hard-headed as a deer hunter can be with scent, again with a lively conversation, you can get them thinking also. Now, I didn't say you're going to change their mind about anything. I just said you can get them thinking. And the reason that is because those two groups, the trapper and the deer hunter, they see the animal habits and they see behavior. So when I can talk scent and lore and how to use it based on habit and behavior, I can get them thinking. But fishermen, they don't see the fish habit. They don't see the fish behavior. Now, we're starting to see that a lot now. We're starting to see a lot of that with the underwater cameras, which I think I'm going to get me one of them. What they call them, GoPros or whatever them things are. I think I'm going to invest in some money and get some of that, because it would be a very good marketing tool for me, if you will. The average fisherman is not going to do what I do when I'm testing a bait or a scent, rather. Is I go out in shallow, clear water that I can find, and like I said it before, I'll take a piece of leather strip of leather, put it on a hook or a string or something, and I'll put the scent on that leather, and then I'll throw it out there in that shallow water where I can see what is going on. And I'm not trying to catch a fish, I'm just watching to see what the fish does with it. And sometimes I've spent 2-3 hours just watching fish. Now typically another downfall of that is going to be their smaller fish, or their bluegills, or their smaller fish that people kind of turn their nose up to, and I am not going after that. But a little bass is the same as a big bass, beginning stages. In other words, that little bass is going to react to scent the same way as that big bass is. All right, and I don't get myself into the box of I only look for big fish. No, I learn from the little fish. That way I can go after big fish. So I spend a lot of time not trying to catch fish, but just watching fish behavior or reaction. The hardest fish for me to have been able to see, matter of fact, it's almost virtually impossible for me, is catfish, because you can't get the catfish in that shallow water where you can see during the daylight hours. Now, something hit me the other day as I was, my old buddy Dominic, who owns full draw bow fishing. I'm gonna pick his brain just a little bit, because he does a lot of night fishing trips, and I know he sees a lot of catfish off of his rig for bow fishing and what have you at night in the shallows. So I'm gonna have to pick his brain. Now, I don't have the money to get a rig like he's got, a big old boat that's lit up like a doggone barge, and shining light down into 3-4 foot of water and seeing everything that's going on. So I may have to say, yo, Dominic, let's go do a video so where I can watch catfish react to baits and lures, baits and scent in shallow water under the light without trying to catch them. That's going to cost me a little bit of money that I don't know that I'm willing to put out yet. All right. I am a redneck, but I am cheap too. But anyway, getting back to what I'm talking about here. The fishing scent is hard for the average fisherman to grab a hold of, because you just don't see the fish. You don't see what's going on down there. I can't tell you how many times, myself included, I'm saying nothing's biting, and that's a true statement. Nothing's biting. But when I make the statement, nothing's around, the truth of the matter is I don't know what's around. I don't know what's going on down there. And the more videos that I watch of guys who's throwing cameras down in the water, something bit me. Doggone, something bit me. The more I'm seeing fish are reacting the same way in the deep water as they are in the shallow water. Meaning what? This is where I'm going to start getting professor on you, okay? We as fishermen think the same as we do as trappers and everything else. Fish are always hungry. They're not. Now, if you ask any fisherman, when's the most active, when are they most actively going to feed? We're going to look at either the moon phases or the charts or the this or the that. I had a watch that predicted it, and that was pretty good, actually. It was when fish was going to actively feed. But we gear our fishing to what? Food, eating. But when you look at the reality factor of 24-hour period, I think we'd find that fish probably do not feed as much as we want them to. And when they do feed, they feed very quick and hard. Ask any saltwater surf fisherman, what is it that he looks for? What is that he or she, what are they looking for? What is that exciting time that they're looking for? The blitz. The blitz, when those stripers and those bluefish are right off the surf and they're just attacking and they're feeding like crazy on the bunker or the mullet or whatever bait fish is right there. And it's like the water's churning and boiling and it's going nuts and everybody's frantically throwing their plugs and their whatever they're offering, and they're drastically flying. And the question I ask is this: how long does the average frenzy last? Not long. Not long at all. It starts all of a sudden and whew, it's done. So when we're fishing, we're throwing what we have at the fish, and our brain says food, 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 but the reaction is there's different types of strikes. There's different types of reasons why that fish hit that lure or hit that bait or did whatever they did. Territorial strikes. Aggressive strikes. Protection strikes. Feeding strikes. Just 4 of them right off the get-go. And each one of those has a different reason they did it. And each one of those has a different outcome, if you will. An aggressive strike or a territorial strike a lot of times means grab and let go. Shoot out, hit it, grab it and let it go. No intentions of killing it, no intentions of trying to kill it. Boom, bam. Quick. Protection may not even be a strike, might even be a butt. All these different strikes, all these different grabs have a different thing, reasoning, if you will. And we don't think of those things. Now, I think of it because I'm weird. And I think of it because I've watched fish do it in shallow water. You see a fish come up, bam, hit the leather and fly off again. You say, what the heck was that? And you look and there was a bed right there. Huh. Just come out, boom, boom, hit, gone. What's this got to do with scent? let's look at what its scent is, whether it's real. Now, we try to make a lot of our fishing scents synthetic and real if I can. I do, our striper scent has real clams in it. Has real stuff in it. And has some synthetic stuff in it also. Our catfish is real and synthetic. All right. Our catfish dip is all real. And why? Simple. Okay, this is what I'm doing. You take that lure, you take that whatever you're presenting, the fish is looking for, and you saw me talk about the 6 things that they're looking for. And I'm not going to go into detail on all 6 things. Excuse me. But the 6 things are simply this. They're what a fish is normally looking for. Now, the only thing I can add that a true lure, whether it's soft plastic or hard lure, can add. And soft plastics are getting around to where we can do it now. But the 2 things that typically a lure, a hard plastic lure, or your soft lures, can't add to the fish is taste and smell. Hard plastic can't add feel. All right? So essentially what we're doing with a lure is we're adding those last 2 ingredients, those last 2 processes, those last 2, I don't know what's the word I'm looking for, old redneck trying to sound like he's educated. We're adding 2 elements, if you will, to that presentation that the fish will be looking for. Sight, sound, movement, feel, taste, smell. So when that fish is coming out of that cover, or whatever reason, and we cannot know the reason that fish is striking. We cannot know the reason that fish is going after that presentation that we're giving them. We can't know that. We can hope it's food. We can hope it's hunting, but you've got all these variables there. We have no idea. So what scent actually does, and this is where people argue. Why? Because they're just bullheaded. They don't sit down and think about something. All right, Josie, you're just a manufacturer. You're just trying to make money off me. Yep, I am. $7 for an ounce that you use 1 drop. I'm making a lot of money. What we're adding to that presentation is the last 2 things that can't be added to a presentation. Taste and smell. And what we found is this. There are going to be fish that no matter what you do, no matter how you want to do it, no matter what you want, no matter who you think you are or how good you think you is, there are fish that's going to say, nah. They're going to come up, they're going to nose it, they're going to smell it. People say they can't smell, they can smell. And they can taste. I don't understand how. You have to talk to somebody much more smarter than me and much gooder than me to be able to answer that in a way in which it makes sense. But I do know this, they can taste, they can smell. I have seen fish go in and grab that leather and run with it with the scent on it, no hook. And I've seen fish take a piece of leather that I flopped it down, go up and just nuzzle it, and back right off. I've seen fish in my formulations where there was no taste factor, or too much scent. Too much scent. Boy, that's the biggest number one problem that most fishermen have. One drop. Let's go 10. Makes it better. Doggone fish ain't hitting it for 20 minutes. And then all of a sudden they hit it hard. Yeah, I know. You overpowered it, man. They smell in parts per million. I've seen fish where I've overpowered it and they come in and they grab it on a quick strike, on a piece of leather, on a quick strike, and they grab it, and man, they just, their mouth just flies open like crazy. Boom, and they take off. If I put one drop on it, they come in, they grab it, and then they run with it. I've seen that. I'll use coffee. I love coffee. Coffee. Even though it's hot as all snot today, I still got my coffee. I like it. And as much as I like coffee, I have a set amount that I like to make. And I take the scoop and I put it in there and do that and do this. And boy, I tell you what, it smells good. And I drink it and boy, it is good. Good. Woo! But then I get thinking, I'll double that. And I put twice the amount of coffee in there. And I'm percolating that thing. And boy, it's going and it's smelling good. It's smelling really, really good. I pour that old hot cup of coffee and I put it in my mouth. Smell it. Oh, that smells good. Oh my goodness. I gotta spit it out. Too strong. Understand what I'm saying? Anyway, getting back to the rabbit trail, not whatever. When we're throwing this stuff out to these fish can taste, these fish can smell. And what you're using with that scent is this. You're giving them 2 more reasons to grab that presentation. 2 more reasons that you didn't have there before. And what we've noticed with fishing scent is this. It can, not always, but it can convince the fish to take that presentation in their mouth. And depending on how good you are at setting the hook, it will result in better hookups. Because when they take it in their mouth and they taste it and it tastes good, they hold it just a little bit longer. Just a little bit longer. Which allows you a little bit longer. That's hundredths of a second longer. But instead of a tap, boom, and you missed him, it's tap, boom, and you got him because he held on to it just a little bit more. Just a little bit more. We've also noticed that when they do commit, a lot of times, when they want to, especially when it's a territorial or aggression strike, they hit it much harder and grab harder, which again gives you the ability to set the hook. And on circle hooks, it's great. If you're using bait and you're marinating our stuff in your bait, they grab it, they hold on to it. Yeah, that's something with baits, that's something I've never talked about. Watch fish, especially catfish, with the rig that you use. Okay, it's not like fishing with a bobber, or it's not like retrieving a lure. The bait, the cut bait is on the bottom there, and especially with catfish, you usually are using a running type line. In other words, that sinker, the weight isn't is sitting there between you and the bait. That's why a lot of guys use the free running. They use a line that the sinker's not pegged. In other words, it's not anchored to the line. But especially if you're using a heavier weight in you're using a heavier weight for your catfishing because of your current, the fish is hitting your bait and you don't even know it, because the vibration is stopping at the boom 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 is stopping at the weight. 3, 4 foot, 6 foot, 6 inches, whatever that is, that vibration is stopping right there. So the only tugs, the only thing you're really feeling is the boom 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 hard stuff where he's yanking on it and he's making that weight move. So what we've seen is with adding scent to a bait, cut bait, you've increased the odor, which means you increase your reach out. On your lures, and boy, this is where I'm going to get myself into a lot of big trouble here. Oil versus water. Oh my goodness. Oil versus water. Let me tell you what, people. Yes, oil rises. Absolutely. Oil rises. And I will be the first to tell you that if you're using a surface lure, a floating lure, then in all reality, the only positive factor your scent is going to have on a surface plug or lure is taste, meaning they grab a hold of it and that split second they taste it. But in all reality, on your surface lures, it's all boom, it's done. So in other words, there's not even a you understand what I'm saying there, okay? But on your running lures, especially your jigs and your soft plastics and stuff like that, that oil or water based, whatever you want, but ours are oil, is leaving a trail. As you're retrieving that lure, and you're retrieving that lure X amount of speed a minute, or feet a minute, second, as you're retrieving that, okay, that oil isn't shooting straight up to the surface. It's leaving a trail. Don't believe it? Next time you're out in your boat and you're running your boat, look behind your motor and look at the air bubbles and how far out the air bubbles are coming from your prop. Boy, that's your prop, that's your motor. Air is lighter than oil. Air is lighter than oil. How do I know? Because oil don't don't float. Okay? In other words, when I open a thing of fish oil, or I open up a thing of glycerin oil, or I open up whatever oils you want to talk about, motor oil, when we open up the container, it doesn't fly out and just go up in the air like a balloon will. Okay? All right, so if the bubbles are reaching out 2 foot from the back of your prop, then your oil is reaching out at least that far, if not further. So when you're retrieving that lure and it's running, it's taking that oil a little bit of time to start to come up. And as your fish is coming in, closing in on the strike zone, whether that's 6 inches or a foot or whatever, it is getting some of that smell. Now, what keeps it on target is what? The visual, the sound, the movement. Sight, sound, movement. It's already keyed in on that. Now it comes in, it's getting within strike zone, and bam, it now gets into the smell. Positive. Could be real. Boom. Grabs it. Taste. Boom. Got what I'm trying to say to you? So, oil stays on your presentation longer. Water soluble does not. You use what you want. But lure, scent for fishing, does not hurt anything unless you're using too much. If you're using too much, then back off. My stuff, 1 drop. 1 teaspoon to 1 to 2 pound of cut bait. Other people's, whatever they tell you to use. All right, this is a long one. This is a real long one. Hopefully you're interested in it. Hopefully you're not. Going to just brush it off. Hopefully it helped you out a little bit. I went into professor mode for you today. As much as I possibly didn't want to, I did. So I'll talk to you next time, and I'm going to leave it here. Redneck's Pride Outdoors. Thoughts from the office. Fishing sense. I'll talk to you.